Story 1, can't wait at the pump? Guess again. Got gas at Costco yesterday. I was at the rearmost pump on the island. I filled my tank as usual. Less than 30 seconds after getting back in my car, a member of the I'm More Important Than You club honked. He was in the car directly behind me. At first, it didn't even register that he honked at me. I mean, who would do that? Then he honked again. I looked in my rearview mirror and saw him behaving in a frustrated manner. Cue petty revenge mode. When I fill my tank, I record my mileage, the cost per gallon, how much I spent, etc. I made sure to take my sweet time doing that. After a bit, the car immediately in front of me was ready to go, so I turned on my engine. I made sure to take as long as I possibly could to leave the pump, thereby preventing Mr. I'm More Important Than You from getting around me to the free spot in front of me, and, at the same time, preventing him from quickly pulling into the spot I was vacating. Honking at me cost him an extra 6,090 seconds of his life. I was amused at his being a self-centered jerk. I wonder how he perceived it? It was a slow time at Costco gas, and there was no one behind the honking guy. I would not have taken my time if there had been anyone else behind him. Miller High Life says, people at Costco are a different breed, whether it's gas or in-store. SNU Revelations 53:13 says, should have checked your fluids under the hood too. Calgary Fun For Me says, the problem with your theory is that you hold up the whole line, not just the impatient idiot behind you. Story 2, Stinky Revenge. I had a workmate who was terribly naughty. He would play pranks, particularly on me, as I was a good victim. A couple of months after I started work here, he left a note for me to call a person when I got back from lunch. I asked the local crematorium for my remains. I saw John wetting himself, from the corner of my eye. The story got relayed around the whole workplace. I was pretty embarrassed, but had a good laugh too. He would sneak up behind you, while you were tethered to your phone, taking a call from a customer, and drop his guts, leaving you stuck in his fumes. For so long. Awful. He was full of shenanigans. One time a workmate got him back terribly for a bunch of his pranks. And he blamed me. He was furious. My colleague B used a photo going around on the web, of a nice silver teapot for sale. He put the picture on the work intranet, on the Bizel page, saying, teapot for sale, call John with John's phone. No. The intranet wasn't that smart at that point, and you could post under pseudonyms. Hence B assumed John's persona. John got heaps and heaps of calls about a teapot he had no idea he had for sale. When John and everyone else looked at the photo, they could see the grainy reflection of a portly male in what appeared to be bondage gear. And people quite rightly thought it was John. He naturally assumed it was me. He rang me up, furiously telling me he was going to get me back, so badly. I fucking know it was you, I'm gonna get you back. I told John that I wasn't smart enough to orchestrate an attack like that. Well, the silly pranks continued. John continued to sneak up and fart, do other minor annoying things to me and others. So, this is where I got John back a bit. I had to go out to a complaint about an offensive odor coming from a garden supply place, where piles of shucked mussels were stinking. My job is to assess whether the odor was offensive and whether their activity was reasonable and complying. I tried very hard to avoid the ooze coming from the piles of mussels, and as far as I could tell I did. Visit over, and I hopped in the car. Wow, there was a nasty smell coming from somewhere on me. I checked my jacket. Nothing. I sniffed generally and yick, appears to be from my boots. It must have accumulated generally from the yard of the garden supplies place. The longer I was stuck in the confined air of the car, the uglier it got. Returning to the office, I thought, yikes, this is not going to be good. People will be pretty shitty with me. Then, it came to me. John was away that day and his office was unoccupied. I don't know why he had an office, when the rest of us were sardined up. So I then proceeded to scrub my boots across the floor, in a very tight grid pattern. Back and forth, back and forth. I then closed the door and left his room as is. Later, someone went into John's office to take a call. I knew it was a goodie, when afterwards, they complained about something unpleasant in John's room, wondering if he'd done something repulsive in there. Next day, John returned. The stink in his office had really hung around. He decided he couldn't work in there, and went in and out regularly to see whether the stench had changed. Poor John was regularly complaining, loudly, wondering if someone had planted something in his room. I never admitted it, until John left and he had to know that it was me. He loved it. Sweeper of Chimneys says, shitty shenanigans returned with moldering muscles. Nice. Blah Collar says, play pranks on me? I'll flex my muscles. Coder Joe once says, "Did you ask him to sing? I'm a little teapot, short and stout. Thanks for watching, I love you." Follow Reddit Echoes for more.